Finally, one more thought. T.H. White wrote in The Once and Future King that the destiny of man is to unite, not to divide. If you keep on dividing, you end up as a collection of monkeys throwing nuts at each other out of separate trees. Sometimes it seems as though we're closer to those monkeys throwing nuts at one another than we are to a destiny of being united. Certainly it seems that way in politics, as we saw in the State of the Union address last week when half the Congress cheered President Biden on.
We will not bow down.
And the other half heckled him. Even the historic unity between the United States and Israel is under increasing strain as President Biden presses for restraint.
And Israel must do its part. Israel must allow more aid into Gaza to ensure humanitarian workers aren't caught in the crossfire.
And Prime Minister Netanyahu will have none of it.
You cannot say you support Israel's right to exist and to defend itself, and then oppose Israel when it exercises that right. You cannot say you support Israel's goal of destroying Hamas and then oppose Israel when it takes the actions necessary to achieve that goal.
And activist investor Nelson Peltz is throwing his share of nuts at Disney CEO Bob Iger as Peltz tries to break up the unity that Bob has long enjoyed with his shareholders.
Nelson Peltz is out with a manifesto for change over at Disney. Here it is. It's a 133-page white paper entitled Restore the Magic at the Walt Disney Company.
So in the midst of so much dissension that we see every day in the news, it's nice to know that there are some things we can all agree on. Like, for example, how much the United States regards the Chinese government with a distrust that sometimes borders on outright hostility.
There's a tremendous loss of confidence. Foreign investment has collapsed. Domestic confidence has collapsed. It feels pretty bad.
And in particular, how Republicans and Democrats seem to be able to get together on trying to do something to TikTok, like make it get a non-Chinese owner.
The main thing, though, is we want TikTok to exist. We're not there to ban it. I've said we want to make it tic-tac-toe. We want to make it something that is not a fearful social media platform, but one that is very positive. And in order to do that, we have to see the divesting of it from the Chinese government.
Last week, we saw yet another example of people coming together, but this time it was people all dressed up and gathered in Hollywood to celebrate a range of motion pictures. Everything from one about a doll.
This is the best day ever. It is the best day ever. So is yesterday, and so is tomorrow, and every day from now until forever.
To a young woman in Victorian England brought back to life by a brain transplant.
She's an experiment.
Good evening.
Her brain and her body are not quite synchronized, but she's progressing at an accelerated pace.
And in the end, they united in agreeing that the best film of the year was one that portrayed the invention of the atom bomb, which led to the end of World War II.
Why? Why? How about because this is the most important thing that ever happened in the history of the world?
Let's hope it doesn't take the threat of nuclear destruction to help us find unity on other controversial subjects.